Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Jim, Amedeus, and Sean with you this morning. And guys, yesterday, nothing happened. No, I'm just kidding. There was a lot of bizarre and interesting things that happened. Let's see. There was we had a couple of big transfers. Let's see, Jorginho going to Arsenal. And we had McKennie from the U.S. national team going to Leeds. So there you go.
Leeds putting the mid in midfield right there.
What do they got?
Jorginho, the Arsenal went from from Caicedo to Jorginho, which is Jorginho was leaving Chelsea anyway. They only helped Chelsea with the financial fair play to do that. It's interesting. There's going to be some moves today. Manchester United's maybe sign Marcel Sabitzer from Bayern Munich just because Eriksen will be out for at least 3 months because of that terrible tackle on the weekend that didn't get punished. There was no card on the play. The second tackle, Ferguson the other day against Fabinho was a red card, and the referees came back afterwards and said it was a red card, but there was no red card given, and they looked at it on VAR as well. So, it's getting to the point now, you can't, it's ridiculous that they can't go back and say, all right, that's a red card. He should be suspended for 3 games. I mean, it's, I don't know. This VAR.
It happens both it happens in a number of leagues in the U.S. with baseball, basketball, NFL, where they'll, basically you'll go in on Monday after a Sunday football game and have a FedEx letter on your, in your locker from the league saying, hey, guess what? You just got fined $5,000 and you can't play on, this week.
I have problems with anything like these illegal hits, that knock these guys out. I mean, and then you get a fine. Like I have serious problems with that stuff. If it's an illegal hit and you knock somebody out, you should have to sit for at some point.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think
instead of losing,
it's really fair if you take a guy out. Yeah,
they start losing game checks. Hey, listen, we're funding you a month's game. If this guy's out for a month, you're losing a month of game. You guys, you start taking $1 million away from people, all of a sudden, then people, they'll stop. I don't know. I think that'll stop some of this stuff. It's just, I don't know.
There's got to be something to protect the athlete, and if your job, or some of these guys, are dirty players. I mean. That's their shtick. I mean, they go in, they knock guys out. That wasn't the case, by the way, in the Cincinnati-Kansas City game. The guy, what's his name? I was seeing the linebacker. He clearly pulled up and used his hands, but he was out of bounds, so they had to call him anyway. So, but I mean, he didn't put an illegal hit on Mahomes at the end there. That was just one of those incidental contacts. Hey, Massimo, yesterday. Sean and I were talking about the Serie A is being repped by a couple of different major Wall Street groups to up their TV rights, and they think that their international TV rights could go up as high as triple what they're doing right now. That's a pretty amazing payment plan for for Serie A. What do you think?
I mean, I don't know. I don't really know why. The product isn't. It's not the greatest. So.
Well, let me throw this out to you guys. You can tell me what you think. Sean and I are in a business where, as writers, the term content is king. And right now, if it's quality, or even if it's suspect quality, they're going to buy it because they want live sports. and specifically live soccer. So, you know, when I would say what's market value for it, like I was asked what would market value for the Pac-12 rights would be, and I said market value for the Pac-12 rights is whatever the market decides. Okay, what I would pay for it and what Amazon or Paramount Plus or Peacock or YouTube or for that matter any linear, normal network would pay for it is whatever they think, they have to do to get it. And sometimes I'll tell you the people who ruin this, ESPN. I mean, ESPN overpaid for everything. ESPN right now, it's hard to believe. ESPN pays more for Monday Night Football than CBS, Fox, and NBC pay for their packages.
ESPN overpaid for so much stuff over the last hockey, the baseball. They overpaid for all this stuff to get it, and then they've been crying about it since like whatever. Oh wow, we can't. It's not living like. Well, no kidding. You can't have it both ways. Like if you overpay to have content, that's one thing. Like you need to have something on there, of course. Right. Yeah. Then you can't cry about like all this stuff and have to look, you did it to get eyes on the channel and to really to get like oh hey, Sports Center's on.
Yeah.
Oh, like
there's been a debate, and this is the silliest damn debate. And I got suckered into this one too, that the Pac-12 media rights, if it's not on ESPN, Arizona would consider going to the Big 12 because they think that's not being on ESPN is going to damage the conference. And I'm like, you've got to be bloody kidding. If anything, right, you can go, and again, ESPN paid me for a number of years. So I got no shade on ESPN. But if you think about it, right, if you've got the ACC, the SEC, plus God knows how many of those lower conferences, how do you not get lost in that? I mean, so if I'm the number one, conference on Amazon, I know I'm going to get promoted. If I'm the number 5 conference on ESPN, well, am I going to get the same share? No. So I don't get the theory of the case on that. It's just driving. It's nuts. Totally nuts. Okay, I'm going to throw one out to you. Another business one, boys. In today's edition of Goal Magazine, they're talking about, is the Premier League killing European football by stockpiling all of these players and paying exorbitant fees for them?
I mean, it's nothing new. I mean,
well, it kind of goes back to what we were just talking about, right?
Yeah.
Is what market value is. If I want a player or I want to steal a player and keep him from playing for somebody else, and I'm willing to pay him, that's market value.
Yeah, and look, this isn't, this was happening before in the 80s and 90s, and everybody was going to Italy, Serie A, and and then everybody was going to La Liga and the mid 2000s. It goes in cycles. But now, it's not. The Bundesliga, I don't see how the Bundesliga can complain. They were just all for 2 months. Like, if you're worried about people like not watching your league, then don't take a 2-month break. Like if you're, the Premier League never stops. It never takes a break. It plays all year. It plays all year round. They market it better. These leagues, I mean, like once again, like League On, like it's a great league. I mean, it's I don't know. It's on BN Sports, which is like BN has it. because BN lost a lot of their other rights. You know, and they showcase that, and you know, but not everybody has BN Sports. You know, BN Sports Connect. You know, see all the extra games. You know, you have to have, you know, Fubo or one of these things to have it. You can't just watch this all the time. Like, you know, everybody has USA Channel. Everybody has NBC. You know, Serie A right now is on CBS Sports Network and the Paramount Plus.
Right.
Everybody has the Paramount Plus. I mean, more people have it, but you know, if you're going to watch Serie A, like, you know, and these, I think the English league translates better, obviously here because we speak English. Like, you know, it's,
It helps. Yeah.
you know, yeah. So, you know, it's you're gonna you know, be with the players more when they're giving the interviews and they're talking the language, and you know, when you see some of the other leagues and they're speaking other languages, it's a little bit tougher. I think that goes into it. So you know, there's a lot of different things, but you know, I don't think it's anything that's new at this point.
No, you know, back in the day when I used to do NASL soccer, you know, when you wanted to, I mean, the English Premier League has always been the gold standard, and it doesn't really matter. You know, have other leagues been good? Yeah, you know, the Spanish league, the Italian league, they've all had their days, cycles, but you know, one consistent has always been, you know, the English Premier League, and that's why, you know, why does everybody in the world know about Manchester United? Because Manchester United has marketed themselves, and they happen to be in the league that everybody wants to play in. You know, so there's the theory of the case there that marketing and even getting by on your past history, it's almost like the New York Yankees. I mean, you know, in that regard, the Yankees can get by even if they haven't won a World Series in over a decade, because they're the Yankees. And, you know, it's an interesting concept. But, yeah, marketing-wise, you can't beat what marketing the Premier League's done. I mean, they've been out there. And it's the other thing, too, is that it's really the English-speaking world, right? Because you've got Australia, you've got the U.S., you've got Canada. You know, all of those areas have always been saturated by, you know, by the English Premier League. Although I will give credit to the Italian league, they've done some pretty good stuff over the years to keep themselves in front of audiences around the world. So it just depends. What's going on today, guys, in soccer? Anything pop off the schedule?
I mean, yeah, we got some bums playing in the Carabao Cup today.
Okay.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, Newcastle, I can't imagine Southampton will probably score in 20 minutes, you know, if they play for 3 days.
I can't imagine Newcastle's going to score if you give them 3 hours.
You talk about, you know, that game is crazy. I'm not laying 230 on like that.
I got 275.
Is it 275 now?
I got 275. And I know it was closer to 230 yesterday. So
that's what Manchester United is tomorrow. And like I'm not laying minus 230 on Manchester United, even though they just destroyed Forest, because you know they play Crystal Palace on Saturday, and you know they you know, they're not putting anybody else out there in a game to get hurt. I'll tell you that right now. And they got no midfielders, so you know, I would expect they're going to play some kids in that game. So I can't, you know, I'm not going to bet that game. You know, I'm not betting Newcastle minus 1.5 today. There's no, I mean, they could win 2-0, but you know, if Southampton scores a goal by some means, you're going to lose your bet. You know, the FA Cup, Birmingham and Blackburn play. You know, they just played on Saturday, 2-2 draw. I mean, it's a great game, and you know, the other replays are next week, next Tuesday. So I don't know why this one is today. I guess maybe they have a game or something.
No replays for Liverpool this time.
No replays for Liverpool. That's right. You know, I do like both teams to score. I mean, it's basically the same price, yes and no, minus 113, minus 117. I mean, just watch them play a 2-2 draw. So both teams give up goals like crazy. So, it's when you look at what Birmingham City's done lately, I mean, 2-2, 2-1, 2-1, 4-2, 3-1.
Not exactly a defensive juggernaut, is what you're.
No, and then you look what Blackburn's done. I think it's the same thing. 2-2, 1-1, lost 4-0 to Rotherham, 2-1 to Middlesbrough, 2-1 to Sunderland, 4-1 to Blackburn Rovers or to Nottingham Forest, 4-run to Preston North End. They haven't been great, so I think that's probably the play. But it's not the greatest day of games. Inter plays Atalanta in the Coppa Italia. Union Berlin plays Wolfsburg in the DFB Cup. I think that's actually a pretty decent game. The semifinals of the African Nations, but once again, who cares? Benfica plays Aruca, but it's not. It's a weird day. I mean, there's not a lot of. There's still crazy. There's more club friendlies than anything, which means like all these teams aren't playing yet. It's pretty crazy that there's still so many club friendlies going on here. And Karabag has already won their game today, so let's see where they're at.
Already played.
Yeah, they're in Azerbaijan, so it's like basically Asia.
No,
I mean, they have a plus 43 goal difference in 20 games, and they're 18-2-0. They haven't lost a game yet, so and they're still only 10 points up on Sabah, but they've already won that league, so they'll be in the Champions League qualification. But I always forget those games are on, because it's so early. But it's not the greatest day of action today. Tomorrow is a little bit better because you got Betis hosting Barcelona. You got the Club World Cup starting in Morocco, which is good. Obviously, Ligue 1 plays. There's a whole schedule of games. You got DFB, Leipzig and Hoffenheim, Mainz and Bayern Munich. You got Coppa Italia, pretty good games. You got Eredivisie playing. So tomorrow is a much better day of games here. But I was just actually talking to somebody on Twitter yesterday about how he was like shocked about just going back to this Bundesliga thing, and the Premier League. I think we talked about it. When from the time that the World Cup ended.
Mm-hmm.
2 days later, there was Carabao Cup games, and then there was games on the weekend. And the Premier League was like right back right away, and the English teams are playing, and the Championship teams are playing, and all this stuff they're playing during the World Cup, and they have a 6 week head start on the Bundesliga. So if I was invested in the Bundesliga race, and to be honest, it's a good race. I mean, the league is actually competitive right now, but who cares? I mean, you didn't play for. I'm not invested anymore. Like I got other things I'm worried about now. And now they come back, and 2 weeks later the Champions League starts. So why do I care about the Bundesliga? I know there's a bunch of Bundesliga teams in it, and it's not just that league. It's the Portugal and all these other ones. It's just that they need to be playing, especially, if you're a bettor. Like if I'm winning money on a league, I'm not just all of a sudden and the Bundesliga has been impossible to predict anyway. These leagues have been tough to predict. I'm not going to all of a sudden go say, oh, I'm going to start betting on Borussia Dortmund, who, it's a 50-50 coin flip whether they're going to lose your bet or win your bet that day. Against bad teams. It's just, it's tough to do. It's tough.
Well, we also saw, and something that everybody, the three of us all commented that that the French league got back. The final was on Sunday, and they started playing again on Wednesday. And PSG had a game the following Wednesday.
Yeah, it's I just don't understand how they you know, and now you're putting the players at risk now, because I understand, you know, you want to give them a break after the World Cup, but now you're playing, you know, you're playing every day. Like, so now these players are at risk anyway. So, you know, I just don't know. I mean, you know, I think you could have given them a little, you know, couple, like a week or two off and then come back. But, you know, I don't know. I don't know what the solution is. But I do know it's, you know, the Premier League gets record numbers every time they put it, you know, every weekend they're getting record numbers. You're getting, you know, the Manchester United Arsenal game has been watched by more people in America than any other Premier League game in history.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it's only and you see that every week it's setting records. There's more and more people tuning in every week. You know, and I don't know what the Bundesliga numbers are on ESPN Plus. I can't imagine it's not. I can't imagine it's high.
Not well. I mean, they're basically in the 300,000 to 400,000 range.
I mean, the other, you know,
but it's not great either. It's like the middle of the pack.
I mean, the problem with that, once again, is, you know, you got every game is on. You know, you know, that's probably including every game at the 9:30 time slot. So you got, you know, there's probably 350,000 people watching all the games, like total. So, you know, and you get you know, 3 million people watching the Premier League. This goes back. I mean, you know, the Bundesliga CEO like threw Fox's coverage under the bus right before the pandemic. You know, they're disappointed in Fox Sports USA coverage. I just remember, you know, they were putting them on all the different channels, and you know, you couldn't figure out where the game was going to be. You know, Fox Sports Soccer, FS1, FS2, blah blah blah. You know, on that app or something like that, and you know, you can't figure out where the game's going to be, and you know, people are just like, you know, if I can't. Some people didn't even have FS2 and stuff. So, and then I remember they switched. When they switched to they knew they were going to go to ESPN, and then Fox just like said, okay, well, we're not even going to do pregame shows. We're not going to do anything. And it just became, you know, terrible.
In full transparency, about a half decade ago, I helped the Bundesliga get with BN Sports at that time.
Yeah.
And I mean, I still to this day get a prospectus every year for the league that tells me how much money was spent, who spent what on what. But I mean, they're very organized. I mean, it's Germany, so yeah, they're always organized. Organized league. It's just that, you know, their idea and concept of how to market themselves is lacking.
Yeah, and I just think, you know, Fox. Look, the World Cup cover. I mean, Fox now basically just has the World Cup, and they back. You know, they used to have the Premier League, and the coverage was atrocious. They used to have you know, you'd have to listen to these guys. You know, back, you know, 15 years ago, they had that show on Fox Soccer Plus, or I mean, it was like Eric Winalda. It was like a soccer show every Monday. It was really cool, but you know, it was before all these people did it. And then like they started, you know, you go to these goofy. I mean, you see like the World Cup stuff, that goofy show with Wallace and all the like. Listen, man, like I just want to hear about the games. Like I don't want to hear you talking about the U.S. men's national team for half an hour before I'm going to watch. You know, every game they talk. Oh, you know, hey, this guy plays for the U.S. national team. You know, when Fox has like the coverage of whatever game, you know, so this guy, the Leeds United, blah blah, and they go on a 20-minute rant about like the U.S. national team or like concussions or something like this. Look, man, I just want to hear about the game, and you know that's why I like the Paramount coverage. You know, Kate Abdo and Carragher, and you know, I don't. they got Carragher and Micah Richards on there, who Liverpool and City guy, like I'm supposed to hate, and they're not. They're very good. They're very informative.
Right.
They know what they're talking about. Thierry Henry or whoever else they have on there is very good. And then, sometimes you see the other coverage, and it's just these like, American guys come and they're just like goofy for like, Lalas is a good player, but I mean, he just like everything is like over the top. Like, look, man, you don't. I know you're a clown. Like, you don't have to do it on TV 24. Like, but I mean, some people like that stuff. I guess I don't know. I don't. I just want to hear about the games. So
I think one of the things NBC did, which was smart, was do the Men in Blazers show, and the reason being, it got the casual fan interested because these guys are two totally crazy characters. They're fun to watch, and I think that people who didn't warm up to soccer started to warm up to it because of these guys making it sound easy. And the other thing that they do, that NBC does, is they will cross promote. So they'll have like, on Morning Joe or on MSNBC or on CNBC, they'll have these. There's some of their soccer guys show up there and talk. So they're going to wherever they might be able to find an audience and trying to drum that audience up. I think that makes a lot of sense from a cross promotion standpoint. So there's that, as the old saying goes. What was I going to? I was going to ask any interest this week, Amedeus and the boys up north of the border. We've got an upcoming NHL All-Star Week in Miami, of all places. And you love that building because you supposedly have bought half of it. So maybe you could tell us what's going on down there. You got a lot of interest about the hockey All-Star game.
Yeah, to me, it's kind of just like a break from the NHL. I mean, I'm probably not going to watch the All-Star break. I don't care about the game, about the little mini games. I don't care about the actual All-Star game. So honestly, to me, it's just kind of like like a Christmas break or something where it's just 4 days where there's no NHL. I have no interest in any All-Star games. I'm not going to watch the Pro Bowl this weekend. I'm not going to watch the NBA All-Star game. It's just it has no interest in me.
Skills competition at all, or is that?
No, like I said, those things they just don't interest. Even like I know you can bet on it these days, but like there's it's just a waste of time, honestly.
John, how about you? You a hockey guy?
I have no interest in any All-Star games or any competitions or anything like that. To be honest, I watch the playoffs, but I can't be bothered. I just watch soccer. So, the All-Star big basketball, hockey, football, this stupid flag football thing. I mean, it's just like I just don't understand. Like these players don't want to do it. Like they want to, name them to the pro. Say, listen, these are the Pro Bowl players. They're all pro, whatever it is, and then just like let them. Like you just played a whole season, you beat your body up, and then you got to go do this thing. It's just like let them just finish the season already. But
fans don't even want to watch it.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, they put this. Back in the 80s or something. I remember the Pro Bowl and stuff. I mean, it was. I feel like it was after the season. So first of all, it was a game after the football season, and then there was nothing else after that. So it was the last game, but I just feel like it was more. I don't know. Maybe it meant more. Now it's just it doesn't.
To be honest, it never meant anything.
Yeah. I just think they tried. Like the players tried more. Maybe they weren't making as much money. Maybe they got
get a little extra cash.
So now these guys are making so much money. I mean, the worst of them. I mean, the NBA game is a joke. I mean, they don't play any defense in the regular season with. So that game is a travesty. I mean, it's just the dunk contest now. Like the real dunkers don't even get in. Like once Michael Jordan didn't stop getting in the dunk contest, or like Vince Carter wasn't in it every year. Like Vince Carter would have won it every single year. Nobody was. like they get these like some nobody up and coming guy and like, hey, wow, you know, every dunk everybody's like 10, like every dunk can't be a 10. You know,
but what dunk hasn't been done? I mean, that's the thing, right? At the end of the day, you're jumping up and putting the ball to the hoop.
The only like
getting dropped from a helicopter.
The only thing in the game I think that is any interesting in that is the rookie and second year league, you know, the second year guys, because people want to see those guys that are going to be like the next star. Like, you know, I think that's interesting. You know, the baseball all-star game is the same way. I couldn't care less. I mean, it's just.
I do like the home run hitting contest.
Yeah, it's. You know, the future stars when I was covering the All-Star, you know, covering the AA team was interesting to me a little bit, but you know, it's just if it's an exhibition game, it's just, you know, I find it hard sometimes to work Manchester United exhibition games. Like I'll watch in the summer because, you know, they haven't played in 2 months or something or a month and a half. So I'm like, wow, they're gonna play a game. But like, you know, the games aren't, you know, they don't mean anything. So like it's just tough, man.
That's fair enough. Just checking.
Yeah, if it was up to me, I would just get rid of every All-Star break in every single sports.
Just give them a break.
Like, honestly, though, to me, all it is a 4-day break in momentum. Like, you got a team that's hot going into the All-Star break, and then we've seen teams come out just like flat for the next 2 weeks. It ruins the momentum, and as Sean was saying, you know, I keep getting notifications about, oh, you know, this guy from the G League signed up for the dunk contest, or this guy from the G League registered. Like, who cares? I don't know who you are. I don't want to see you. I don't even want to watch the professionals do a dunk contest, let alone some nobody from the G League. So it's honestly, it's just a waste of time, these All-Star games.
Yeah. And they're really not entertaining. I mean, that's the other part too. You know, how many times can you stand there and watch, you know, guys like LeBron James take a jump shot? You've seen him hit 7 times in a 10-minute period.
Well, the other problem is, like, you know, look, I think, you know, ESPN's had a hand in this, but like, you know, some of these NBA guys are a little polarizing, like, you know, some of their stances on certain things and stuff, and like, you know, this is just what I hear people say. Like, this is not my view. So I'm going to put that out there first. But, you know, if you're going to do this stuff, you're going to polarize some of your fan base, which is why, like, you know, if I'm writing a story, I don't want people to know I'm a, you know, Republican, Democrat, whatever it is, because like, I don't want half the people to hate me right away. So like when you go out there and you do this, you know, the people are like, I can't be, you know, oh, wow, I'm going to watch. Oh, I can't be bothered. Well, if you're polarizing half your fan base or something like that, like who's watching it? I think, you know, ESPN, like, I think sometimes, and Fox and some of these other things, like, you know, they think about the, you know, they're saying about the ratings, but, you know, they take stances on things. And when you take stances on things, you know,
you're gonna get blowback.
You're gonna get, from certain people, gonna be like, all right, I can't be bothered with you. I can't be bothered. Like, to me, like, I don't want to, I don't watch SportsCenter because because I'm on Twitter all day. I'm on the computer. Like, I know what's like. I don't need somebody to tell me, like, oh, here's breaking news. Breaking news. This happened 5 hours ago. Like, SportsCenter's on at 6 o'clock or whatever. Or you know, I know they do it all day round now, but like.
Right.
I don't see the same highlights on loop over and over and over. I've already, if I care about it, I've watched it on Twitter, or watched it somewhere else, or watched it on YouTube. So like, it's just, I just think sometimes, like,
it's funny. You bring up a point about people, like there's the social justice aspect of it. There was the, excuse me, I don't know if you guys remember, but there used to be a time when in the NFL and NBA, it's still the case in baseball, they don't cover the national anthem. They've never covered the national anthem, okay? We used to go to commercial break and then come back and make sure we didn't get the national anthem. But I don't know, 7, 8 years ago, the United States military made a deal with a financial deal with the NFL to carry the the All-Star. I'm sorry, the Star Spangled Banner at the beginning of the game. Ironically, it was when Kaepernick took the knee. It was sponsored by the Marines. So we never used to cover that because honestly, you're just watching people stand up, which is there's nothing obvious. I'm not being like you just said. I'm not trying to put anything out there that is controversial. I'm just simply saying that when we didn't cover the national anthem because we didn't think of it being that interesting. We wanted to get to the game because at 1 o'clock used to be the kick. You would get there, you'd take your 2-minute break at 12:58, and you would hit you'd hit the NFL right at straight up 1 o'clock, and there'd be guys on the field ready to go. And then they put the national anthem together. So they, in some ways, the league themselves put themselves in that position in that particular case with Kaepernick. But as you say, you've got to be careful who you alienate or who you because I do know that there were a number of people who quit watching the NFL. Now, was it a significant amount? No, but it was enough to make a dent.
Yeah. The people that quit watching this stuff as well are the people. I mean, look, it's people with money. I mean, people that have strong views or whatever it is. I mean, if obviously you have a strong view, if you quit watching the NFL because somebody takes a knee or whatever, you have, you have strong views. So but a lot of those people are people that spend money on the product and stuff like this. So, it's a cycle.
Well, and that's the other thing. Like, social justice aside, let's just get rid of the national anthem. Waste of my time. Okay, honestly, the pregame ceremonies, waste of my time. If the game says 7 o'clock we start, you drop the puck at 7 o'clock. Okay, we do the tip off at 7 o'clock. Like soccer, it's always, if the game says 2:45, the kickoff's at 2:45.
Yeah,
they do their anthems and things beforehand. They take that into account.
They do all that stuff 10 minutes. They walk out at United. They walk out 8 minutes before the match, and they do all this stuff. They line up. They do the handshakes. They do the
kids,
the coin flick, and all that stuff. But I go to these basketball events. They have 3 games on a day, and the third game is a half hour behind, and they're like, we're going to play the national anthem. I'm like, you've already played it twice. Like, why are you playing it? You don't need to play it 3 times. Like, well, I'm like, look, man, this is why, this is why I'm not going to cover you anymore. Like, your tournament is always behind. You're wasting my time now. And, it's not just the national anthem, but it's other stuff. Like, you're wasting my time, man. Like,
ceremonies, the drop the puck ceremony, like to honor somebody, things like that. Like, I mean, I get it, it's good, but you don't need before the game.
You got plenty of time before the game.
There's 15 minutes. You got 15 minutes of warm ups while they're warming up. Honor those people. Then, like, it's ridiculous. No, I 100%. Like, there's certain places I won't go now to cover games because I know there's always. Like, they'll do senior night or something like this. They'll introduce every senior, and they'll do it on, like, homecoming. So they'll introduce every senior, and they start the game's at 7, and they start doing it at, like, 6:55, and the game doesn't start till 7:10. Like, you had an hour before the game. Oh, well, the people weren't in their seats. Then tell them to be in their seats. And then the halftime is supposed to be 15 minutes. They do homecoming, all this stuff, and it's like a half hour. And I'm like, look, I'm not coming to cover games here anymore. I'm going to go cover a game where I know – and I'll tell them, I'm like, look, we're not coming here anymore because every time I come here, it's an absolute disaster. I'm here for 3 hours and I'm at the other game for 2 hours. Why would I'm getting paid a certain amount to cover this game. Why would I spend an extra hour covering your game when I can go cover another game for the same price and be there for an hour less? And like they, whatever, you do what you do. You're not getting covered. Like, I just can't be bothered with you. That's my view. And At other places, it doesn't matter. But, at NJ, at Trent Times, I'm the one of 2 writers right now, and I'm covering like 5 different sports. Like, I'm not, if I can't be bothered, you're not getting any coverage. Sorry. Like, whatever. I'm the only guy. So, it is what it is. Like, you can choose to do. I mean, this one coach or this one school wants to play every event in the fall and the spring at 7:00 at night. Lacrosse, boys lacrosse, girls lacrosse, baseball, soccer, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, that's awesome. And my parents can go. The parents are crying all the time. Why aren't I in the paper? Because my deadline is stupid early, and
you're not helping me.
Complain about that. But if I have a chance to cover a 3:45 game and be home to my house at 6 and done writing my story before your game even kicks off,
right?
There's no choice in the matter. But it is. I don't know. It is what it is. But it's all this other stuff.
Yeah, and I don't buy that thing with like, oh, we want people to be in their seats. No lunatic shows up to the game late or like right on time on purpose. Okay, if people are going to the game, they're gonna go early. Okay, they want to get in there. You want to be on time. All right, yeah. There's the few people that you have troubles getting to the stadium or whatever. I'm not talking about those people. No lunatic says, oh, the game's starting in a half hour. Let's go, I guess, right? And you live an hour away from the stadium. Like nobody's doing that. All right, people are going to be in the seats when you do it. 20 minutes before the game, 30 minutes before the game. That's how I am anyway.
Yeah. And you're burning time.
Exactly. Right. That's the other thing is like, I want to show up early because I want to get my seat. I want to get my food before the game starts, but then I don't want to sit there for a half hour, on my phone doing nothing. So give me some entertainment.
You've already eaten your 2 hot dogs, drank your beer, and now you're ready to, you haven't even seen the tip
my
for the
$18 beer. I'm already bankrupt for the night and the game hasn't even started yet.
It's funny. Back when I was working with Chris King, there was this one guy who would come on and talk, in chat. And he lived in Arizona, and he was bitching about going to the Coyotes game where he had to pay $17 for a beer. And it's like, it's not bad enough it's the Coyotes, but they charge us these ridiculous prices for our
I used to get free tickets.
Paying me to watch that team.
Right. I used to get free tickets to the Union. I like free. They're like, you want this free ticket? I'm like, no. And they're like, like it's not free. Like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, they're in Chester. It's going to cost me $20 in gas to get there. It's going to cost me $30 to park. So that's $50 right there. Maybe $10 in gas, right?
Okay.
So that's $40. And then, your drinks, food, blah, blah, blah. It's $100 by the time, for a game I don't even care about. Like $100.
That ticket ain't free.
Now imagine if I had to buy the tickets, that's $200. Like
they just want you in the stadium, Sean.
Oh, of course.
Once you're in the stadium, it's game over.
You can't. There's nothing to do. I mean, that's it. We went to an Eagles preseason game right before COVID in 2019, and the tickets were like free. I spent it was crazy. It's $35 a park for a preseason game. Like the food was like $100. The beers and the food and all this stuff. Like I spent $100 on a preseason game that I spent $5 for the tickets. Like the tickets were $10, and it was the first game, so like the starters played like a drive. But I just the person I was going with hadn't gone to a game before. I'm like, let's go to we could. It was the same night as Smashing Pumpkins and Liam Gallagher. I should have went to that. I wanted to go to that, but they're like, oh no, let's go to the football. I'm like, all right.
There you go.
We went to Smashing Pumpkins.
Nothing's better than a preseason game.
Oh God!
When I go,
they last forever. They go 4 hours.
Yeah, I'm not going to drink and eat food. That's just me. I know other people do, but but then when you take other people, oh yeah, let me, Bulu. That's it. That guy Bulu spends he'll. Oh, if you took him and said just get what you want to eat, he would spend $200 on food. He goes to the Thunder games and gets free tickets to the Thunder games and spends $50 on food like at a minor league game. So imagine what that is at like a major league game.
Oh my God!
Why wouldn't you just eat?
I don't know. I mean, I know that many times when you get these opportunities and free things, they're not free. But I do know that when we used to televise these things, it was like, when are we going to start the damn game? I mean, because how many people go to those games with the concept that it's going to take me 4 hours from the time I sit in my seat to the time I get in the car to go home? I mean, that's putting you at home after midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning, no matter what you do.
Yeah, no, I'll be honest, like I didn't really even want to go to the game the other day, but my guy got the tickets and they're expensive, and he's like,
Sure.
I wanted my dad to, I asked, my dad's a huge Eagles fan. I'm like, look, go see it. Like, when's the next time you're going to be able to see it?
Right.
You just don't know, these games don't come around a lot.
Right.
He's like, nah, he's got probably walking up since he had the surgery. They hit a nerve, and like, so he doesn't like walking up and down the stairs. He just likes watching the game at home, like I do. So it's the same, it's the same thing. Like people were always asking me to go watch Manchester United in Philly because there's all those bars down there, and stuff like that. And I'm just always like, look, I mean, nothing against you, but I don't want to watch it with a bunch of fans, like. Because there's always like, if they, like when you used to watch games and like you're in a bar with like if I had, once I was in college, I had like North Carolina stuff. You're watching like North Carolina Duke. There's always like a Duke fan, like, and if you lose, they're like giving you crap the whole night. I can't be bothered with that stuff. So like, I just want to watch the game. I just want to watch the game. I'm just focused on the game. That's but I go over to Manchester to watch the games because it's I'm a fan, and I like to there's all the stuff that's around that, seeing my friends and stuff. But like when I'm here, I can't be bothered. Like, so I got the ticket, and I'm like super appreciative of going and stuff. It was a fun time. But like,
it's always nice you always want to be respectful of the person who is giving you something that
yeah, like if someone says we're gonna go to the I got Phillies tickets, do you want to go? And I'm like, look, give them to like a Phillies fan, but like if you can't find someone to go, I'll go. And then I end up, sometimes I'll go, and it's it's whatever. But I don't know. Like,
I don't know about you guys, but when I used to do these things, direct, produce, whatever. That was one thing. If people would call me up and say, "Hey, you want to go to the game tonight?" And it was my night off, right? Like, no, it's a job. I gotta go there.
Oh, this guy
get paid. I really don't want to go there and sit in the stands. I don't.
That guy, yeah, Bulu. They like, hey, I got tickets to the game, or I got tickets. Like, I'm like, look, man, I've covered 6 games this week. Or I covered 5 games. The last thing I want to do is go to another bad game. Like, and I've been covering like good games.
Right.
I'm not at the Sixers. 5 nights a week. I'm covering bad high school games, and like the last thing I want to do after watching 5 bad games is go to another bad game. Like, and it might be, it might be the greatest writer in St. Peter's, whoever. I don't care about either team. So what, like, if I really, really, really was interested, I'd watch it on ESPN Plus, and I couldn't care less. So I don't even watch North Carolina games, and I'm like, I went to see North Carolina in the Final Four twice, like seeing the national titles. Like, I can't watch. I can't be bothered watching their games. Like, why am I going to watch like some bad game that I have no interest in?
Right.
But
again,
like when you're like a fan, and you're like, you can't understand. Like, man, oh wow, you get to go watch the Thunder every night. I'm like, listen, I'll be honest, I don't even pay attention to the game. Like, my story, I'm talking to people, and as soon as my story's done, I see what the food is. If the food is good, which was about 1 every 5 times in Trenton.
Right.
I would say if it was bad, I would be, I would go outside, sit in the stands for about an inning and then go because my story's already done. My job is done. Once again, if I stay there until 10 o'clock,
Right.
now I get paid, $90 for 6 hours. If I get there at 4:45 and my story is done by 6:45 and I leave, I get paid $90 for 2 hours.
Right.
Now I made $45 an hour instead of $15 an hour.
Right.
And people are like, oh, I can't, that's just, I could be home doing something else, writing another story, making more money. But people, when you cover sports, it's,
it was a job. And I'm not saying
it's my work. Look, I've seen, playoff no hitters and all this stuff. That's cool. I played baseball in college, so I understand baseball is, whatever. But by the time, I started covering the Thunder in 2015, by 2018, I couldn't be bothered. Oh man, you missed it. They would be called oh man, you missed a great game. Nah, I'm good. I was home watching Mr. Robot. I don't care.
It's funny. We were just talking about free tickets and all that. We quit covering the Miami Marlins because the Miami Marlins wanted to charge us $4,000 a year for parking.
Yeah.
And it's what? I mean, we are going to your building. We are covering your team, and you're charging us $4,000 for parking. And
that happened to me at the Thunder.
Fine. We're not covering.
Yeah, they were breaking my balls about parking during one homestand. They're like, you can't park there. I'm like, that's the Trenton Times parking spot. That's me.
It says right there.
Was right next to the thing, and they're like, you can't park there. I'm like, this is my parking spot, and they broke my balls. And we did all that because we were right next door. So we gave them a ton of advertising and all this stuff.
Sure.
So I went to my boss and I'm like, listen, man, they're breaking my balls about $3 and all this stuff. So he's like, all right, I'll take care of it. So he made a call to the general manager, yo, what do you guys we don't even want to cover you guys. Nobody reads your nobody cares. Nobody. The only people that care about the Trenton Thunder are in the stadium. Nobody else cares. So I'm writing these, we're writing it because we're next door.
Right.
And then, he comes to me. Whatever. I guess I never had another problem. I guess because they're listen, we just won't cover you guys. You'll lose $75,000 a year in advertising over. This guy busting my balls about this park. And I'm what do you guys care? I'm here at I would get there at 4:30 for a 7 o'clock game. There's nobody in the parking lot.
Right.
It's some of the state workers are still there and stuff this. So and they're oh, you gotta, I'm listen, man, you gotta park in the garage. I'm no, I'm not parking in the garage. I'm parking in my spot. They were adamant I had to park in this parking garage, which was a mile from the stadium. Right. And our parking lot spot was literally 200 feet.
Right.
Listen, no, I'm parking in my spot.
Right.
Well, every day they're they'd come on you know what? The third day I was you know what? Hold on. Went right into my work. Did this thing, and then that was it. I was I never heard another thing. I'm just why? And the craziest thing about it was when I write stories for the Thunder, I would write about the beer. I would help the Thunder out. I would write. I wouldn't even write about the games. I'd write about the food, all this stuff. I'm listen. I'm look, I'm doing all this stuff.
You're a marketing director.
And when the other paper was just writing about the game stories that nobody cared about. I'm I'm helping you out, and you guys break my balls at every chance. You know what? That's fine, but at some point, we're not going to cover you. So then after the pandemic, when the Blue Jays came in 2021, we didn't cover them. That was it. We were done. We didn't cover them, and they were just why aren't you covering us? I'm look, man, it's been a whole. it's been like all this stuff. Like nobody cares. We keep telling you nobody cares, nobody cares, nobody cares, nobody cares. You keep breaking balls and whatever. And now we just don't cover you guys. So now they're in Somerset, so it doesn't really matter. But NG.com doesn't even cover them.
Yeah, it's funny. We the first year of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I was still in college, and I was the sideline reporter on the radio. So we do a preseason game. We've never played a regular season game yet. And it's being done in Orlando because the stadium in Tampa hadn't quite been finished yet. So we go to Orlando, and I go through the gate, security, something. Massimo, Sean probably has horror stories about security too, because these security guys, work maybe once a year in Orlando. Okay. This is their big thing. So I get through, and 5 people behind me is the owner, Hugh Culverhouse. He walks up to the gate, and I happen to just be playing with my briefcase. And so the guy says, "I'm sorry, I don't have a pass for you, so you can't get in the stadium." So the owner's standing down there at the gate because the security guard is not giving him a credential, which he can't seem to find because evidently no one put him on the list. So I go in the elevator upstairs, and I go to the traveling secretary of the team, and I said, "You're not gonna believe this, but Culverhouse is downstairs. They're not letting him in." And he goes, "I don't have time to mess around with you, Jim. Just quit kidding with me." I said, "No, I'm not kidding with you all. Go downstairs." He goes downstairs, gets a credential for him. At halftime, it's time for him to go out on the field to thank the mayor and all that, right? He didn't have the right credential. He couldn't get on the field. So they're going, "Mr. Culverhouse, where are you?" Evidently our team hasn't brought him down yet. Finally, they go over, they get him, bring him over, and he literally says this on the field. He goes, "We're never coming back to Orlando. I hope you enjoyed the game. It's never happening again." I mean, so crazy things happen with these folks on game day. I mean, there's stuff that you look at and go, why are you doing this? You're just making life pure hell on all of us. But, hey, we don't get that opportunity. Well, there was a lot of inside baseball guys for stuff on what goes on around the old ballparks these days. But, it is what it is. Anyway, guys, any other thing pressing on your minds this morning, or going once, going twice?
Another boring day.
Okay.
Great.
All right, guys. We'll see you tomorrow at 9 a.m. We're going to be talking a lot about some decent games, as Sean brought up. There'll be some games worthy of consideration tomorrow. All right. Have a nice day. Thanks for joining us. We had a lot of fun. For Massimo and Sean, I'm Jim. Take care.